I've been enjoying Lorcana a lot. I actually really like the game a ton. I think it's a lot of fun. And I know not everyone's into TCGs. That's a part of this community, but it's a game that I think is really phenomenal and is worth checking out. Now, for those that don't know, I've also done a video on this recently that they're going to be coming out with a solo mode. It should be out in the next month or so. So I've pre-ordered that. So I'm super excited for that to dive into it. So today, we're continuing our series of tier ranking different cards from the first chapter. Today, we're going to be going through the Amethyst set. We're just going to go through all cards. This is specifically just my opinion on cards of how I played, what I like and what I don't like about the cards. I basically like the vast majority of cards, but just what I like more versus what I like less. So anyway, if you are a fellow Lorcana fan, let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps the channel. And let's go check out some cards. All right, so just friendly reminder, my tier ranking is just S, A, B, C, D. This is just personal rankings, right? This isn't objectively ranking the cards, just kind of subjective of how I'm feeling about the cards. I don't consider myself enough like of a pro player to like, be like, this is what the absolute best is, but this is what I like and generally what I think has been really good. So let us dive into these cards. And the first one we'll talk about is Anna. 4-cost card. Anna, heir to Arendelle, 2/4 stat line with 2 lore. When you play this character, if you have a character named Elsa in play, choose an opposing character. That chosen character doesn't ready at the start of the next turn. Really strong as long as you already have Elsa out there. Her by herself is a little expensive for what she is, in my opinion. Though 2 lore is very nice to get. I like the card. I think it's a pretty decent card. So it'd probably be, I'm gonna put an A. I think it's gonna be the lower section of A, but it's definitely a good card. I like the way that works. If you do kind of the sisters build, right, with Anna and Elsa, I think it can be really strong if you're focusing in on that, which I think a lot of people did in the beginning. I've done less so recently, but definitely worth looking into. So then we have next is Archimedes. I think I'm saying that right. 1-cost card, 2/2 stat line, 1 lore. Very, very basic card. A lot of the decks kind of have this basic card. They're very, to me, middle of the road cards, right? They just kind of hang out there. They're nothing like crazy special, but it's good cost, good basic card to get out there. And I do enjoy that. All right. So next we have Befuddled. 1-cost action. Return a character or item with cost 2 or less to their player's hand. This has worked well in our games for me because when my opponent generally doesn't put out a lot of expensive cards or items, especially at the beginning. So if I get this early on to kind of throw their rhythm or their tempo off, this has worked well for me. I know we talk a lot about first player advantage in Lorcana. It definitely exists, in my opinion. And this is a way that if the first player puts out that cheap card, to kind of like slow their rhythm back down, right? Or even if they're doing like in their second or third turn, it's a way to slow that rhythm down. I think it actually works pretty well in that regard. Is it an overpowered card? No, it's not by any means. But I think to kind of throw the rhythm off, it's good. I think it's a really solid middle of the road card. I'm gonna put it a little bit lower because I think it's more situational. Or can be more situational. Like later in the game, maybe you can make it work, but I'd rather, unless I have extra resources lying around, then I'm probably not playing that card. I'd rather get more powerful characters out there. So I do like the card, but I think it's a little more situational. Dr. Facilier, 7-cost card, 4/5 stat line. Shift 5, so you may pay 5 to play this card on top of another card named Dr. Facilier. 3 lore, which is mind-boggling. And whenever one of your other characters is banished in a challenge, you may return that card to your hand. I really like this card. It's just really expensive. And the way we've played a lot of Lorcana is that by the time this card can come out, the Into the Shadows portion right here on the bottom doesn't really get to be played as much. Now, maybe that's just our style and the way that we're playing, and it's not as kind of good or powerful as it should be, right? Maybe we're not playing as efficiently as other people should. But it is, where's the card? It is a good card, right? If you get it out there, especially if you can get it earlier in the 7, like again, 7 cost is still 7 cost, but if you can get it out there a little bit earlier, or if you can shift on top of it to play a bit earlier, it is really strong. I'm going to put it here for now. I respect that the card should be a lot higher based off of like what it's worth and power wise. Into the Shadows doesn't work or hasn't worked as well for me as I would like it to, right? Maybe I can get it to work once because we always end up with small hand sizes at the end. So it's nice to be able to kind of get that card back in, but we've never really been able to make use to it to its fullest extent. All right, then we have another Dr. Facilier 2-cost card, 0 attack, 4 defense. It's a challenge +2. While challenging, this character gets 2 attack, which is kind of interesting in the way that works. So if you're defending, he's not going to do any attack damage. Also, 1 lore before I forget. So when you're defending, he's not going to be doing any attacking. But if you're attacking, he's going to do some attack damage, which is interesting. It's interesting the way that works. It's a good card to have on the shift for the other big Dr. Facilier. So that is useful and good. So I would put the card a bit lower because I still think it's an interesting card, and it might drop down to C. But I don't know. It's somewhere in between there. But it's not a bad card. I haven't found the right rhythm for it, and I never seem to get it first out there when I'm trying to get the more expensive card, right? Because like usually he gets knocked out because my opponent knows I have like a better Dr. Facilier around, and they don't want that card coming out, right? So that's good strategy of my opponent, I guess. All right, so the other Dr. Facilier, and hopefully I'm saying this right, 3-cost card, 2/4 stat line. Whenever you play a song, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one on top of your deck and the other on the bottom, 1 lore. We talked about this in my other video. My biggest problem is I don't play songs that much, which kind of hurts this card for me. I still think it's a decent card with a decent stat line. It's a little bit better at defending. It's a little bit more expensive, so like the whole shift thing doesn't work as well, right? Like you're technically overpaying slightly. I mean, you're not like overpaying, but it's just like a little depending on how you look at it. So yeah. So anyway, I like being able to look at cards and deciding what kind of goes on top and what goes on the bottom. This way I don't end up with a quote unquote bad card one round. But I just haven't played that card that much. I haven't found a ton of use for it. So it's kind of going down just a little. All right, then we have Elsa. And Elsa is a 4-cost card, 4/4 stat line with a lore. This is I think Mickey was kind of like this, where like a 3/3/3 stat line. It's a very kind of middle of the road card to me. Very, if Archimedes is like the middle, like I think Elsa is the middle as well. Just a bit more expensive, so maybe it's a little bit harder to get out there. So I don't know if like this is necessarily the right order for these two. You could kind of put them in any order. I think will be fine. But yeah, good solid card. It's nice to get out for the Anna combo as well. But yeah, it's not like a mind-blowingly good card. Now, this Elsa, what was that one? That one was the Queen Regent. This one's the Snow Queen. 3 costs, 2/3 stat line. Freeze. You can exhaust this card to exert chosen opposing character, and this has 1 lore. I actually really like the way that this works. I think this is cool because I've had my opponent at times keep their character standing up because it plays off of something else, or it works in tandem with something. It just needs to exist to be good, and doesn't need to be exhausted. So it's nice to exhaust their cards, or when they want to do something with their card and I'm already exhausting it for them, so they can't do that thing. I actually like this Elsa more. Because it helps me control their board, and if I need to exhaust one of their characters, so then I can go attack it, I think that's pretty good and pretty strong. So I personally, which Elsa is this? I personally like this Elsa a lot. I think she is very good, very strong. I think she's actually better than the other Elsa, in my opinion. So I like her a lot. All right, so then we have the final Elsa, the Spirit of Winter. 8-cost card, which is crazy. 4/6 stat line. Shift 6. You may pay 6 to play this card. When you play this character, exert up to 2 chosen characters. They can't ready at the start of their next turn, which is mind-blowingly good. 3 lore. This card is bonkers strong, and for an 8-cost card, it should be. I don't own this card. I've only played it on a simulation, but I played with the card, and it's really good. I mean, when you could play this card to kind of mess up your opponent, right? It feels really good. It feels really strong, especially getting the shift on top of it. And as long as your opponent has 2 characters out there for you to freeze, so you get the fullest effect, it's really good. And I typically don't really attack with her. I use her really for lore, because most people aren't knocking her out in one turn. So being able to basically get 6 lore on there, and that's what, like a quarter of the lore you need, is really good. So really strong card. Hopefully one day I'll own the card, but we'll see. So anyway, really like that card. All right, so Flotsam, 5 cost, 3/4 stat line. Rush. This character can challenge the turn they're played, which is, I don't use a ton, right? Like I kind of do, but not like a ton. Your character's named Jetsam gain Rush as well, which is interesting if you get Flotsam out first, and 2 lore. It's pretty good. He's not a bad card. Like the Flotsam Jetsam combo isn't terrible, but it's definitely probably one of my things I use least. And I don't want to, again, this doesn't mean it's a bad card, it's just I don't use it as much. And that combo of cards, I seem not to use that much. I play with it a little bit in the beginning, but not a ton. So it's a little bit further down there for me, personally. All right, then we have Freeze, 2-cost card, Exert, sorry, chosen opposing character. Again, there's value to this. If I get this later on, it's actually kind of nicer in a way, because we are now kind of messing up our opponent's strategy. I'm going to put it at high C. It could be low B as well. I like messing up the opponent's strategy, especially later on. I'm not playing it necessarily early on because I'm just trying to fill out my board state so that I have enough challengers or defenders or people that are doing lore or whatever. So it's definitely a later on card. Maybe that makes it more situational. I don't really know. But not a bad card, but just not a card that like I use a ton. Friends on the other side, 3 cost. A character with cost 3 or more can sing the song for free. You draw 2 cards. Love it. I've talked about that. I'm not a big song person, but I do like this card because card draw is so needed. I don't know about anyone else with Lorcana, but I always feel like I don't have enough cards in my hand, and card draw is just so important in general. So to be able to get more cards, absolutely, I'm playing this card a ton of time. You can make the argument to put her up in, or put this song up in A or S. I don't really know, but it's definitely up there. So we'll put it up there in general, just so you know, it's high up there for me. All right, so Jafar is next. This is Jafar, Keeper of Secrets, 4 costs, 0 attack, 5 defense, 2 lore. This character gets +1 attack for each card in your hand. As we have just stated, I don't have a lot of cards in my hand, unfortunately. So I'm putting this card a bit lower. I'm going to put it down in C. It can work out, right? There are times I am able to get more card draw, but for me personally, it's probably because I'm not the best player, and I'm good, but I'm not great, obviously. It's just aligning things better for me needs to be done. So yeah, if I had a huge hand size, that would work out really well, but unfortunately, I don't, so it doesn't work out great. Now, Jafar the Wicked Sorcerer, 4 cost, 2/5 stat line, challenge +3. When challenging, this character gets +3 attack, which is monstrously large. I mean, that's really, really good to see. So I like this card a fair amount. I'm going to actually put it at the top end of B. It could go to an A, because a lot of times I'm just planning to be more aggressive with Jafar, and having a 5 attack or challenge stat line is super strong, right? Super strong, super good, especially for 4 costs. Having a ton of defense so that he could probably exist for 2 attacks worth is really, really nice. So I really like that card. It's a good card to use. Definitely strong. So Jetsam, the other half of the Flotsam, is evasive, 3/3 stat line. Your character's name Flotsam, game evasive, and evasive can only challenge other evasive characters can only challenge this character. If you have the combo of Jetsam and Flotsam, I get how that could be good. I've never really enjoyed that combo or ran it. So they're both kind of down there for me. It's not a bad combo. It just, I feel like I have to sit on one of them, like either Flotsam or Jetsam, and let them just sit there for a while and not exert them so they don't get knocked out, because they work best in tandem. And a lot of time my opponent is just, like looking to take one of them out. And then once they're both out there, it's nice, but I feel like I just had a card sitting around for a long while. So it doesn't work great for me. I guess if I put them out near the same exact time, that'd be better, but it still hasn't worked great for me. I just don't care for the combo. It's just me personally. And I get the value of them. I get why they can be good, but just not for me. All right, Magic Broom, 2 cost, 2/2 stat line. When you play this character, you may shuffle a card from any discard into its player's deck, gains 1 lore. I'm not getting through the deck enough where this is like really worth it. Like, it works out great if a powerful card got knocked out and I can shuffle and they happen to get back on top. Yeah, there's some value to that, but because I'm not getting through even half my deck most of the time, well, I'm probably getting through half, but like I'm not getting through 3/4 of the deck. The value of this card is a little bit less to me. It's not as good. So for me personally, until we start getting a lot more card draw involved, like later on, this isn't worth it as much to me. But if you have a card draw heavy deck, I could see where the value would be there a bit more. But yeah, I just haven't been able to get to its full usage, I guess. All right, then we have Magic Mirror, 2 costs item. So speak, you exhaust this card, and for 4 exhaust and 4 exhausting of ink, and you get to draw a card. It's kind of expensive, but later on, this is worth it. It's definitely not bad. I'm going to put it kind of in here. Late game, it's worth it, right? But it does kind of put you behind the 8 ball a bit. Like, you got to have a lot of inked cards out there to really, because I want to draw and then be able to play that card or play a different card that I just draw. And like, if I'm slightly behind the 8 ball, but I just put an expensive card in it doesn't feel like it gets its full usage. It's definitely not a bad card, right? I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad card by any means, but it's just, I feel like I maybe get like 2 cards out of it, maybe. And maybe that's just me as a player. I need to figure out a way to be more efficient with Magic Mirror. So it's not a bad card, but it's just, for me, it's always been kind of tough to get out there. All right, Maleficent coming in. 1 cost, biding her time is a 1/1 stat line, but has 2 lore. I do like her for the 2 lore on her. I do think that is, which Maleficent is that? They don't have them in order for whatever reason. Oh, no, she is in order. I like this Maleficent. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to put it just below the attack stat line one, because basically I'm coming in for 1 cost and doing lore the one time, and then my opponent's probably going to sweep out Maleficent, right? Pretty quick, because if you see anyone with 2 lore, you're going to go after that pretty hard. So I like the card. I think it's a pretty decent card, but middle of the road decent. Maleficent Sorceress, 3 costs, 2/2 stat line. When you play this character, you may draw a card, 1 lore. I like this card a lot. I think Maleficent is very, very good. Again, card draw is king. It's a pretty good stat line. A little bit lower on the lore, which is fine, but I do like this card. So Maleficent, definitely a good one out there. Then we have Marshmallow. 6 cost, 5/5 stat line. When this character is banished in a challenge, you may return this card to your hand, which can be nice. 1 lore. It's a good defensive card. It's a little bit expensive. The banishment part is cool, right? That you can get Marshmallow back out there, but because he's so expensive, you're not able to play other expensive cards. So you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons there. I'm going to put it kind of middle of the road here. I think around here is pretty good. Definitely a strong card. Definitely a fun card, as long as you can keep paying for it. All right, Mickey Mouse Sorcerer. 4 costs, 3/4 stat line. You may pay 1 cost less to play broom characters, which can be good. We've seen with the other brooms. Whenever one of your broom characters is banished in a challenge, you may return that card to your hand. Again, if you're using the broom strategy to shuffle in a ton of brooms and draw from it, it's not bad. But that's kind of how you have to play that. 2 lore. I like Mickey Mouse. I'm a big fan of it. I think in general he can be good. I have the brooms lower because I don't do a ton of broom strategy, but I actually think this card is pretty good overall. So I'm going to put it right in the middle. Maybe I need to look back and do more broom kind of deck building, but it's not one that I've done a ton of. So anyway, good card. Definitely solid. All right, then we have Olaf. Olaf's interesting because it is a 1 cost, and basically like it's a shield card, right? So if you ever have this happen where your opponent's kind of just like has a lot of weak allies out there, or is kind of pinging you for damage or whatever, it's nice that he has 3 life to him. I think that makes him a bit stronger and a bit better, and 1 lore is nice, and especially if I'm putting him up in the high Bs, because if you're just doing lore with him and your opponent's like, okay, I want to try to take him out, but they only have like a 1/2 cost attack card, like it's nice to be able to do Olaf twice, essentially, compared to some of these other cards you can maybe only do once. So Olaf I like. I think it works well. All right, Pascal. 1 cost, 1/1 stat line, 1 lore. While you have another character in play, this card gains evasion. Only characters with evasion can challenge them. That's solid. Evasion is a very solid keyword to have, and as long as you have someone else out there, and we talked a little bit about this, where some people just have like characters that just stay face up, this might be what you want for Pascal. This is really nice that Pascal can basically do his thing and not really get challenged too much. I actually like Pascal a lot. Maybe a little too much. I think he's really, really strong, really, really good, especially with evasive. I think that keyword could be really strong, especially if your opponent doesn't have an answer to that card. All right, next up we have Rafiki, 3 cost, Mysterious Sage, 3/3 stat line. This character can challenge the turn it's played with its rush, 1 lore. It's more of an attacking character for me. I definitely think Rafiki is pretty good. Just a little lower than Mickey. Definitely in the solid middle for me. Rush is nice if you need to kind of get rid of a quick attack character. It's good. I don't use him a ton though. I don't know why. I like him. I think he's fine. I just don't use him a ton. I really should though. I should try using him more. Maybe he'll move up higher if I start using him more. So, but Rafiki, definitely middle of the road for me. All right, Reflection, 1 cost, a character with, it's a song, character with a cost 1 or more can sing this. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. We've talked about issues that I've had with drawing enough cards in my deck. It is nice to be able to play this to that if the third card down is the one that you really need and want. Reordering your deck can be really strong, can be really good. It's up there. It's for sure up there in B. I like it. I think it's definitely a solid card. I don't play as much as I should because especially at endgame, my board's already set, so it's nice to get in the beginning when you're trying to figure out your board state. But I do like the card. All right, then we have Sven, 6 cost, 5/7 stat line. Definitely a strong defender and attacker. 1 lore. He's up there. I like Sven. I like Sven a lot. I don't know why. It's kind of expensive, but the 7 defense is really strong. It's really good. I don't really use him to lore. He's out there attacking, doing damage to different cards, trying to clear out my opponent's board state. It's nice to be able to do that. So I do like Sven. Very basic card, but I think it works well. All right, then we get the Queen, 5 cost, 4/5 stat line. You can draw cards, which is really nice, and she has a lot of defense. So if somebody's going after her, it's not too bad. I mean, if you're doing card draw, it's really good. We talked about card draw is really strong, or can be really strong, really powerful. I like it. I like this card. The Queen is definitely a solid card overall. Putting up her in the A tier for sure. All right, the Wardrobe, 3 cost, 3/4 stat line, 1 lore. It's good. This is kind of our generic attack cards. Kind of in there. Rafiki is a little bit. Maybe a little bit better than Rafiki, right? Because Rafiki's a little bit more expensive. No, we're the same cost. Rafiki just can't be inked. That's right. So it's very on par to me with Rafiki and how Rafiki works. Definitely a strong card, definitely good. But to me, it's right in that same exact area. All right, Tinkerbell. Coming with 5 costs, 3/3 stat line, evasive character. Your character's name Peter Pan gain +1 challenge while challenging, and she has 2 lore. Definitely a very strong card. Tinkerbell is very, very, very strong. Maybe it's because I've done Peter Pan builds with her too, but getting the evasiveness is really nice. I know it's a little bit expensive, can't be inked, but being able to lore 2 on it is really strong. If you have Peter Pan working with her, it's really strong. I really like this card. It's a card I play actually a fair amount. So I think it's personally a pretty good card as long as you can kind of team up with Peter Pan on it. If not, this card probably drops a lot lower. But I've just personally used the card a lot and really liked it. All right, Ursula, 7 costs, 2/8 stat line, 3 lore. When you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. You may draw a card for each 1 lore lost this way. There's not a ton of ways to lose lore, and this way is kind of crazy, kind of strong. It's an insanely powerful card. I don't own the card, but I've definitely used it on, like I said, online, playing on the emulators or whatever. Very, very good card, especially late in the game when we're pushing near the end and my opponent's getting to the point where they're about to win, and just knocking off that 1 lore is sometimes enough. And the fact that Ursula can come in and just start 3 lore spamming, and they're going to start focusing on Ursula, but she's got so much life, or so much defense, I should say. It's just so strong. It's so good. It's a really powerful card, and when I get that card, I am honing in on this card. That is what I'm focusing on, so I really like it. All right, Ursula's Cauldron, 2 costs. Exhaust this card. It's an item. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put 1 on top and the other on the bottom. We had another card like this that was an event. As an item, it's a little bit stronger. I don't know where we put the event, unfortunately. Was it the mirror? No, it wasn't the mirror. I forgot which one it was. Or maybe it was a character. But as an item, it is a little bit more powerful. We'll put it in the upper reflection, right? Yeah, we'll put up the reflection. Was reflection the one I'm thinking of? I don't remember, my brain shot. But but that was put 3 cards in on top of your deck, and that was a song, so that was 1 time. The Cauldron's only 2 that you get to do it with. Reflection, you put them all back on top. Cauldron would take bad cards and put them on the bottom. Not necessarily bad cards, but cards you don't want back at the bottom. So I like it. Pretty solid cards up there. Reflection. All right, White Rabbit's Pocket Watch, 3 cost item. You exhaust it and pay 1 ink. Choose a character. Chosen character gains rush this turn. They may challenge the turn they're played. I understand the card can be good. I just never really use this card, unfortunately. Maybe I should. I just don't prioritize it, right? Because generally I want to get more characters out there. I want to get more other items out there. I want to do other things. And getting this out there isn't one of them, unfortunately. I could see how it could be worth it, but I've just never, I guess I just never really used it. I've used this card and I throw it down as an ink card the vast majority of the time. So it's an alright card. I just haven't used it a ton. And I'm sure other people would use it more efficiently than me. And let me know that in the comments, your way of using it. Yzma, I think is how you say it. 2 cost, 2/2 stat line, 1 lore. Whenever this character quests, look at the top card of your deck. Put it either on top or bottom of your deck. I actually like this because generally, yes, I'm using her for her lore capabilities. And if there's a card that I really just don't need on top of the deck, to be able to put it on the bottom is kind of really nice. Or if I know what I'm getting the next round, I know it's going to be good and I have to build toward that or whatever, that's also really nice. I like Yzma. I think Yzma is actually a pretty solid card to kind of get the right cards on top of your deck or help get the right cards at 2 cost. All right, last card we have is Zeus. 4 cost, 0 attack, 4 defense, rush. And while Zeus is challenging, this character gets 4 attack, 2 lore. Yeah, this isn't bad. For me, it's a little bit lower, probably the bottom of B. I don't mind the card. I just haven't used it a ton. I don't know why. It's not my favorite card to use. I prioritize other cards over Zeus, it seems to be. So it's not a bad card, but he's never doing the challenging, I think, for the most part. Maybe that's the problem, is I should have him do the challenging more, because I look at that lore and I want that lore and I like that defense because people are going to start trying to take him down, and if I can get four or six questing lore out of him, then that's pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, thank you once again for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it. Let me know that in the comments what you think about certain cards, what cards you really like or really dislike. I love Lorcana. We've really been enjoying playing it and diving more into it. I'm really excited for the solo mode coming out. So if you are excited to watch some of that solo content, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, turn on notifications down below. We'll be doing a lot in the live streams over on twitch.tv/D20 Woodworking. Hit the follow button over there. But yeah, hopefully you've been enjoying this series. We'll finish up the rest of the first chapter and take a little bit of a break before we get into Rise of the Floodborn, and we'll get into the rest of them and keep doing these types of videos because I enjoy them. And it's fun to like kind of look at some of the cards that I don't always think about. So anyway, appreciate you all taking time to watch this, and I will see you all next time.